Welcome to New Beginnings with Karen Delk, where we celebrate the creativity, courage, and wisdom of people creating change. I am so pleased to welcome as my guest Janice Selinger, who is an executive producer and documentarian, and also Rebecca Corbin, who is president and CEO of NACCE. So welcome.
Thank you.
We are going to be talking about a topic that is near and dear to my heart. As a former executive in human resources, I know all about workforce development, and I am very excited to learn more about the work that you're doing and what you've documented about that work. So first of all, tell us what NACCE is.
Great. Well, thank you, Karen. NACCE actually stands for the National Association for Community College Entrepreneurship. Big name.
Big name.
And a big reach. We have 330 member colleges across the country, about 2,000 professionals actively engaged. Those are presidents, deans, faculty, and we reach about 3 million students. So we have a deep penetration. One of our challenges is telling our story and what we do, and that's why we're happy to be here today with you.
Oh, great, great. And so tell us a little bit about what it is that you're focusing on in terms of entrepreneurship. How did that develop, and what trend made this a focus for community colleges?
Good question. About 14 years ago, NACCE was founded on the campus of one of the community colleges in Springfield, Massachusetts. And really it was designed to really look at entrepreneurship as a pathway, not only for workforce development, but what we're looking at now in terms of student success and as a leadership strategy. So from its early roots, it was really designed to be sort of an innovative experiment. And over time, what we've coalesced into is really looking at it in two ways. Entrepreneurship as a leadership strategy for community college presidents and as a teaching strategy in the classroom. So the idea is if our community college presidents can actively engage in entrepreneurship, if our students learn how to be entrepreneurs, they can combine forces with the community, which really drives economic change, and good things can happen. We see that in New Jersey, all over New Jersey, in fact.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I love when we can develop a win-win strategy. So what I hear is that the students benefit because they're learning to retool and reskill themselves. The college presidents get a chance to showcase themselves as entrepreneurs, and obviously the faculty has a hand in that, and then the community benefits as a whole.
That's exactly right.
Which is a wonderful thing. Now, the colleges that are in New Jersey that are part of this program, there are 5, correct?
That's right. We're very lucky to have 5 very strong partners. I was fortunate enough to work for one for 6 years, Burlington County College, which is now Rowan College at Burlington County. They have been a long-time NACCE member and are doing some amazing things in workforce development and entrepreneurship. So while I no longer work there, I'm delighted to have a good, strong relationship with the leaders there that are doing some innovative things. The other members, Cumberland County College, which is in the southern part of the state, does amazing work through their foundation and through every department on campus. And then we have a number of northern members, community colleges, Brookdale, Bergen, and Hudson, that are leaders. You know, these are colleges that deeply get engaged in communities and work not only with their students, but with community members to start businesses, to hold pitch competitions, to get people really excited about what's possible. And that's where we talk about an entrepreneurial mindset. It's a change in how you think about possibility and what's possible for yourself and the community.
That's outstanding. I think that what I've experienced as a HR professional is at times having to right-size the organization. And there's nothing more traumatic than having to tell someone, whether they've been with the company 2 years or 25 years, that there's been a decision and they have to move on. That definitely impacts not only that family, but it impacts the community, and it also impacts the people who are left in the organization because they're watching as to how employees are treated when they leave. But one of the things that I've always told people is that it's an opportunity. And you really piggybacking off your word of mindset, because how you embrace this change says everything about how you're going to fare, whether you're going to look for a job in a similar field or whether you decide you might want to do what you've always wanted to do.
Right.
You know, because usually the companies that I've worked for, people have gone with a package. So they've had some money that, I'm not to say that they didn't need the money, but, you know, in some cases it's been helpful to them to think differently, to change their mindset. So with the community colleges, are you finding that you're attracting these people who have experience, or are you attracting youth who are 18, 19, finishing high school, or is it a mixture of both?
You know, it's a mixture of both, and what's interesting about community colleges, as the economy increases, enrollments at community colleges tend to decrease. So the net result of that is community college presidents have to be more entrepreneurial, because if you think of a community college budget, a lot of the revenue comes in through tuition dollars. You know, they're very lean with the resources that they have. Government is always tightening its belt, and there's always that push for student success, you know, not only graduation rates, but, you know, completion. And what we're finding now is job placements are becoming more important to local, state, and national leaders. So we feel at NACCE that our responsibility is really to look across the country and identify best practices and share it with the network. Everybody's struggling. There's a few places in the country, I'll give you one, for example, Bentonville, Arkansas, the home of Walmart, where enrollments are surging. They're in sort of this unusual state of having a lot of resources, and they're entrepreneurial as well. Most places are not like that. Most places enrollments are flat. They're finding that they have to collaborate more with universities and industry. And if you've never done it before, sometimes you need a little bit of coaching or guidance to figure out how to do it. So that's what we do at NACCE. We do a national conference. In fact, the work with Janice is going to be highlighted at one of our conferences later in the year, where we're going to get involved with a video storytelling project, because what we've seen from the documentary that you're going to show in a moment is really telling the story about what's possible helps people to expand their mindset. Because if I don't know anything else but my own neighborhood and my own corner of the world, how could I ever imagine developing an export business with Germany? Or how could I ever imagine becoming a coder or something that's beyond my realm? And so we really believe the path forward is not only that excitement and engagement, which we see all over New Jersey and really all over the country, but is to really tell a story in a different way. And that's been really the pleasure of working with Janice and her team. They've taught me a lot, and we used to work together. Sometimes you have to be away to fully, you know, absorb all the pieces of it. But it's been an exciting partnership for us, and it's an exciting national journey. We have some national announcements that are coming up soon, which we're excited about in terms of employment in the tech hire industry. So,
can you share a little bit more?
Well, it will be announced in a couple of days, but we're actually one of the organizations that's included in the White House announcement on the tech hire program. So our commitment to this program is providing some New World of Work soft skills curriculum. So there's dozens of tech hire cities all over the country. So we'll be doing some training. As an HR professional, you know the drill. You know, people do not know how to communicate, work in teams. Sometimes they don't have the leadership skills. So in talking with employers and looking at the research, we believe this is a barrier to filling those tech hire jobs, and nobody is better positioned to train students in the community than community colleges, because they can do it rapidly.
Absolutely.
So we're excited about that partnership, and we're going to be issuing our own national announcement right after the White House makes their statement.
Well, that's wonderful.
It's exciting,
yeah,
exciting
congratulations.
Time. Thank you. Thank
Definitely.
you. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. So Janice, we're going to show the video, but can you tell us a little bit more about it and how you came to be involved?
Sure. Well, as Becky said, we used to work together at NJN Public Television, and we were talking about telling the story of NACCE and the work that's going on around the country. And we thought, what a great way to do it through video. And I was able to get Kent Manahan, who anchored NJN News, to narrate the project. And I brought a team, cameraman and a videographer who, a videographer and a sound man who worked with me at NJN. And we went to West Virginia and to Virginia to tell a story of two college presidents who are really totally involved with entrepreneurship. And I think that stories are really compelling because, you know, as Becky was saying, you know, their communities are changing. We were in Martinsville, Virginia, and what we found there was that they had lost over 40% of the jobs that were in the community since the 1990s. And so, you know, the technology was changing there. You know, they had a lot of lumber, they had furniture stores, they had a lot of tobacco industry jobs, and those are no longer there. And so what they had to do was think differently. And so they looked at what was in the community, and as you'll see, you know, in the piece, you know, they were able to do something because they had Martinsville Raceway there, NASCAR. And it's really kind of an exciting thing, but they also did things working, you know, they had a performing arts program and they wanted to get the funding to make that work. And the way they did it was the people that were working, you know, doing the plays actually found ways to raise money, and they worked with a local car dealership and they did a commercial for the car dealership, and that allowed them to raise some money for the performing arts program. So even, you know, taking a trail, they had a trail that they had on campus, but they found a way to get students involved in connecting the trail so they really could go a little bit further. So that was very exciting. And then we were also in West Virginia. And, you know, we were in West Virginia, and what we did in West Virginia with West Virginia Community Technical College, what we were able to do there with President Terrell is they had an agricultural summit, and they had people in there looking at the fact that agriculture is a really big thing that they're doing right now, and what do they do to get, you know, farmers to think differently and to use new technology. And so it was a really kind of exciting thing to be there when they were actually having that particular conference going on. And so we were able to, you know, see some of the demonstrations and talk to a young man who was in the military, who was going back and trying to start a business. And he was, you know, learning how to do that. So it was a very exciting opportunity for us to tell a story. And we're hoping to be able to do more. I know we're going to be going to Kentucky soon.
Part 2.
And, you know, I think there's a lot of really innovative work, you know, that's going from Moorfield, West Virginia, and from Martinsville, Virginia, to tell these kinds of stories and also, you know, have them be replicated in other parts of the country. I know that certain schools are a little bit more involved in this, but like Kentucky is one of the schools that's starting and is going to learn a little bit from the work being done at those other schools.
I'm Rebecca Corbin, President and CEO of the National Association for Community College Entrepreneurship, NACCE. We believe that entrepreneurial thinking and action can trigger the development of new business opportunities nationwide. We also believe in the power of stories to create inspiration and to show what is possible. Our friends with deep roots in public television traveled to the Appalachian region of the U.S. to uncover successful strategies that are transforming communities.
Our community was very wealthy and very prosperous, and then within a short period of years experienced economic devastation. So the rebirth and the regeneration of our community has by default been an entrepreneurial one.
I think, you know, the community college has the opportunity to really be able to create the spark within a local community.
Creating something electric. That's just what Dr. Chuck Terrell, president of Eastern West Virginia Community and Technical College in Moorfield, West Virginia, and Dr. Angeline Godwin, president of Patrick Henry Community College in Martinsville, Virginia, are doing. No longer a commerce center for tobacco, textiles, and furniture, Martinsville lost more than 40% of its jobs since the 1990s.
They've had layoffs in the community, they've had unemployment, they've had declining enrollments, they've had to do more with less. And what they found is by applying entrepreneurial thinking and principles that they could not only overcome challenges, but they could grow businesses and communities.
The proximity of the Martinsville Speedway created an entrepreneurial opportunity for students.
Martinsville Speedway is the oldest existing raceway. It predates NASCAR. So this was an area which the college had a natural fit, not only in terms of being able to build race cars, which we do, but also the entrepreneurial side, which is that we have our own racing team.
Grew up Martinsville, we qualified 23rd. It was 87 cars there, and we finished 10th out of that whole group, so I was really proud of my students and the effort they put out for them.
I'm hoping to go into a sports car field. Is what I'd really enjoy to do. Just anything hands-on and racing I'd really enjoy to go into.
In addition to giving students a chance to learn about the motorsports industry, Dr. Godwin has infused entrepreneurship into just about everything on campus.
It struck me that in my own classes that I teach, that part of being an entrepreneur is being resilient, being a problem solver. And so I decided that this was a skill that would value every student, whether they ever intended to start a business or whatever they wanted to do, they could find value and find a pathway to success.
Patrick Henry Community College also created an idea center where startup businesses can be tested.
This is the culmination of all of our work at Patrick Henry Community College to really bring entrepreneurship to the front mind.
And that's already happening at the New Biz Launchpad in Wardensville, West Virginia.
The New Biz Launchpad was really geared towards helping businesses get off the ground, to reduce time, risk, and money.
Redwood and Company's owners developed a bar of soap and wanted to start a retail business.
The college helped subsidize some of the initial payments, initial rent, and allowed us to slowly ramp up on some of those. So we were able to concentrate our money on actually developing our product, getting it to market, getting it to the way that you're seeing it today, as well as invest in other things around the store from different vendors from around the country.
Another venture transformed a family feed store into a retail outlet for both local and made-in-America items.
We're helping other entrepreneurs, and I didn't realize that till last week when the college was in here and we were having a conversation about some of our artists who bring in pieces. And we not only we pick everything, but we also push them and we try to teach them what price they can get, how they can do better, how they can make more, how they can move faster, how they, things that they can do to make more money and be more successful. So we're really not only entrepreneurs ourselves, but we're also coaching other entrepreneurs and trying to help them figure out how to be successful artists or business people or craftspeople or whatever it might be.
Eastern West Virginia Community and Technical College found a way to stimulate that local economy through an agricultural innovation showcase. Participants saw demonstrations of new technologies, heard from West Virginia's Agriculture Commissioner, the Israeli Minister of Agriculture and Science Affairs at the Embassy of Israel, and learned best practices from each other.
There's a coal miner and a farmer that are featured on our state flag. So we have a rich tradition in agriculture and production of agriculture. And this infusion of technology and innovation in a fresh way into the agriculture industries, we believe has some great opportunities to diversify the economy.
Community colleges have historically been known as workforce development organizations, focusing on training and retraining and providing opportunities for jobs. So it's actually the right place, not just going ahead and training people to do specific jobs like welding or cosmetology, but really helping advance them to the next level, which is owning their own business.
Yeah, I'm thinking when I get older, become an iron worker like my dad and my brother. It really opens your eyes to a new world of agriculture with all these new technologies and everything else that we got going on around here. It's just amazing how much technology is used in farming these days.
The reality is that most of the folks in rural communities are entrepreneurs. They may have multiple jobs and do multiple things. And so helping them, one, understand that they're already doing, entrepreneurship is a pretty big word, but they're already doing it. They're already engaging in entrepreneurial activities.
This kind of entrepreneurial approach is not just innovative, but essential for a community college president.
Public funding continues to decrease. We have many, many challenges and market challenges we might not have had before. I think entrepreneurial thinking will help us transition and not only survive, but actually have our organizations thrive.
The Appalachian Regional Commission has made it possible for NACCE to work with 11 community colleges to infuse entrepreneurship throughout the fabric of communities. We hope this work inspires you to think and act in an entrepreneurial way. And remember, your local community college can be a catalyst for this change. To learn more, visit us at NACCE.com.
You talked about best practices and sharing resources, and certainly these documented videos help to educate because those can be shared with everyone.
Right, and what Janice was speaking about too is really the way we laid out the project was to have a series of mentor colleges. The 2 colleges that you see in the video are further along. They're 3 or 4 years or 5 years down the path, and the next story that we'll tell together is what we call an emerging college. So they're ones where the president there has made a pledge to entrepreneurship, and they're learning about it. And so what we're doing is going with them. For example, we'll be in Bentonville, Arkansas for a Fab Lab symposium, and we've got coaching around it. So we're taking some of the colleges in the region that are further along and pairing them up with these newly emerging colleges. And it's interesting to see the synergy and how things are different. The agricultural focus of one college is completely different than some of other colleges, but what Janice mentioned about in Kentucky, you know, they've had coal layoffs, and it's just devastated the workforce out there. So, you know, the governor at the time and the governor now and, you know, some of the leaders there have said, you know, entrepreneurship is the pathway forward, but you can't just give someone a textbook or, you know, a guide and say, go do this. You know, it takes risk-taking, it takes persistence, because it's hard to fail, but failure is part of the process. So if you go into it thinking, I'm not going to hit them out of the park, you know, every time that it's part of this learning process and I have these supports around me to do it, as we kind of move together, we're going to be tracking the progress and sharing things, and we put you know, ideas that we learn in Ohio, in New Jersey, in California, in Iowa, and we feed them right into that community, and it's amazing how receptive the folks are to it. They're grateful for whatever help. In fact, Janice came back and we were talking about the whole experience, and these folks are really delighted to welcome in other people because they care about their communities,
Absolutely.
They care about their students, and they are embracing this. Like you said, if you have a downsizing like we've seen in Atlantic City or, you know, other places, you know, you can't just think, I wish that, you know, casinos would come back, you know, as they were 15 years ago. It's not going to happen.
No.
You got to think of something else.
Absolutely. There's 2 things I want to say about that. One is that I'm from Detroit. And that is a community that has suffered a lot slowly over a long period of time. And even with the auto industry, which is not as dominant as it once was, when there was a recession, you know, people had layoffs, and retooling was something that people did. Or what happened is you had massive people go to Texas, and they would work in oil and gas industry, and then when that, it was like a cyclical thing. People would move there, and then when that was low and the auto industry was hiring, they'd move back. And so that was the resiliency that happened then. But now, with the global economy and people really, I mean, there's more communities that are impacted, and it's not just manufacturing. It's not just agriculture. It includes what we would call white-collar jobs. You know, jobs that are, I mean, consolidations are happening at all levels, in the medical field, everywhere. So I could see what you're creating and what you're doing having such a huge impact, because many times people don't want to leave their communities. That's where their families are, that's where their friends are, and they really don't want to leave, but they have to earn a living. So let me ask you, what are some of the curriculum kinds of things that you offer? You talked about coaching, you talked about soft skills, you talked about mindset. So what are some of the curriculum things that help people, whether they were a farmer or a metal worker, or if they were a coal miner? What kinds of things do you offer them in the community college that helps them?
Right, well, that's a good question, and our role at NACCE is really to provide training to the faculty that actually work directly with students in the community. So to that extent, we have a number of different curriculum that we offer. One is we have an online class that we offer at NACCE.com. We've offered it now 4 times. It's filled up every single time. And what's interesting about it, I actually co-teach it with one of my colleagues, is that we get participants from all over the country. We've had presidents take it, we've had provosts take it, we get faculty that take it, we have people that are academic folks that are in between jobs that take it, you name it. And so it almost ends up being, we provide sort of a basis for what is entrepreneurship. We use a lot of the work out of the University of Virginia. Dr. Sarah Sarasvathy kind of came up with a simple process, but we fortify it with other kinds of resources. So whether you're a faculty member or you're an entrepreneurship center director in a community, that it can apply to you. And we assign a project at the beginning of the class where we want the students to learn about the entrepreneurial method, the steps to the process, and really develop a project plan, whether it's actually creating some kind of a pitch competition on their campus, or whether it's something that they're going to do in their community to maybe start a virtual incubator or maybe a mini incubator at their library, but that they put pen to paper, and then part of the classes they share what their experience is. So that's one of the curriculum. We just entered into a partnership that we're excited about with the Entrepreneurial Leadership Initiative out of Cleveland, where we're working on the Ice House certification. So that's really a student success module. So it's students that may come out of urban environments that have a very severe developmental challenges. So when we have a student that comes to us with, say, a 6th grade reading level, the chances of them passing English 101 and just the basics to transfer, statistically, it's a challenge, but we want to set those students up for success, because some of them can be very successful business people, or they can be veered off into a career where they can enter into a job, for example, maybe as, say, just something simple like a plumber, but have some income, have some success, then come back to the community college, get the courses that they need, and we've seen this over and over again, and then they can actually pursue, many of them, a 4-year degree. It takes young people longer in certain cases to grow up than what it used to. So those are some of the types of curriculum. What we've done, I've been with NACCE for about a year, and coming out of the community college system, I really saw the need to develop an actual institute. So we have an institute now for NACCE where we're offering some additional trainings around social entrepreneurship, on partnership engagement with communities, which seems to be of interest to people. How do you work with your SBAs or your chambers? How do you look at your ecosystem and come up with a plan that lifts the college and lifts every other resource around it?
It's not just the college presidents. I mean, it's wonderful what was going on at the 2 colleges that we visited, but it's it's the staff. And the students that are benefiting from this.
A fascinating topic, obviously great work. The role of community colleges today and what you're doing with entrepreneurship is fabulous. So I'd like to thank you again for being my guest, and thank you for tuning in to New Beginnings with Karen Delk.